Jasper gripped the controls of his single-pilot vessel, his knuckles turning white as he maneuvered through the choppy atmosphere of Valeria. The planet was shrouded in swirling violet clouds that blocked his view, while warning alarms blared incessantly in the cockpit. Come on, he muttered, struggling with the joystick. A jarring shake rocked the ship, causing Jasper's head to slam against the headrest and leaving a metallic taste in his mouth. The craft spiraled uncontrollably, hurtling towards the surface below. Mayday, mayday, he shouted into his comms. This is Agent Jasper Blackwood. My ship is going down on Valeria. Coordinates. The transmission cut off as the ship crashed into the planet, plunging everything into darkness. When Jasper regained consciousness, the first thing he felt was intense pain. His head throbbed, and each breath was a stabbing agony in his ribs. Blinking through his blurred vision, he saw lush violet foliage surrounding him, and the twisted wreckage of his ship was scattered across a small clearing. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering through the dense canopy, he froze. He was not alone. A group of women stood at the edge of the clearing, observing him with curious expressions. But these were no ordinary women. Their skin was a deep, shimmering teal, and they moved with an ethereal grace. One of them stepped forward, tall and regal with piercing gold eyes and long hair that shimmered like moonlight. Welcome to Valeria, traveler, she said, her voice melodious yet commanding. I am Cindy, leader of the Azure Circle. Jasper struggled to sit up, wincing at the pain in his ribs. I'm Jasper, he managed, his voice hoarse. My ship, there was an accident. Cindy's lips curved into a knowing smile. There are no accidents on Valeria, Jasper. The planet has brought you to us for a reason. She extended a hand, and after a brief hesitation, Jasper took it. Her skin felt cool and smooth against his. Come, Cindy said. We'll tend to your injuries and show you the marvels of our world. As they guided him through the dense jungle, Jasper's mind raced. This was not how his mission was supposed to unfold. He was here to investigate the disappearance of the previous expedition, not to mingle with the locals. But perhaps this was an opportunity to gather intelligence. The jungle opened into a clearing, revealing a breathtaking vista. A city of crystalline spires rose before them, glowing in the violet light. Walkways made of twisted vines connected the structures, and more of the teal-skinned women moved gracefully between them. Welcome to our home, Cindy said with pride. Jasper's eyes widened in awe. It's incredible, he breathed, momentarily forgetting his mission in the face of such alien beauty. Cindy led him to one of the crystal spires. Inside, the walls seemed to pulse with an inner light. Jasper was guided to a soft bed made of what looked like living moss. Rest now, Cindy said. When you've recovered, we'll show you the true wonders of Valeria. Though Jasper wanted to protest and ask questions, exhaustion overtook him. He sank into the moss, and darkness enveloped him once more. He awoke to the sound of gentle singing. A young woman with slightly lighter teal skin sat beside his bed, holding a small vial of glowing purple liquid. You're awake, she said, her voice lilting and melodic. I'm Mira. Cindy asked me to care for you. Jasper sat up, surprised to find the pain in his ribs had diminished. What is that? He asked, nodding towards the vial. Myra's eyes sparkled. This is Valeria's essence. We call it Nectar. It has extraordinary properties. She uncorked the vial, releasing a sweet, intoxicating aroma. Jasper felt a rush of warmth as the liquid touched his lips. It was cool and sweet, unlike anything he'd ever tasted. As it slid down his throat, warmth spread through his chest, and the colors around him intensified. The crystal walls seemed to pulse with vibrant energy. Jasper could hear Myra's heartbeat and smell the exotic flowers blooming outside. What is this? He gasped. Myra's laughter was like the tinkle of tiny bells. It's life, Jasper. Pure, distilled life. She leaned close, her lips brushing his ear. And there's so much more to experience. Jasper's training screamed at him to pull back and focus on his mission, but the nectar sang in his veins, awakening desires he'd never known. Mira took his hand, pulling him to his feet. Come, Cindy is waiting. As they walked through the crystalline corridors, Jasper marveled at how steady he felt. The nectar seemed to have healed his injuries completely. They emerged onto a wide platform overlooking the jungle. Cindy stood at its edge, her gold hair flowing in the breeze. As they approached, she turned, her eyes glowing with an inner light. "Jasper," she purred, "I trust you're feeling better." He nodded, struggling to find words as the nectar heightened every sensation, making it hard to focus. "Good," Cindy said, gesturing to the view before them. "What do you see?" Jasper looked out over the alien landscape. The violet foliage stretched as far as the eye could see, interrupted only by the shimmering crystal spires. In the distance, mountains sparkled like mirages. "I see beauty," he said, "unlike anything on Earth." Cindy's smile widened. "And power," she added. "Ilaria is alive, Jasper. The nectar is its lifeblood, and we are its caretakers." She turned to face him fully, her gold eyes piercing his. "Why are you really here?" The question cut through the haze of the nectar. Jasper tensed, his hand instinctively moving towards the concealed weapon at his hip. Cindy's laughter was both beautiful and dangerous. "Oh, don't worry. We have no quarrel with your people. In fact, we welcome the last group that came here with open arms." Jasper's eyes narrowed. The missing expedition. What happened to them? "They're here," Cindy said simply, "living among us, experiencing the fullness of life that only Ilaria can offer." She stepped closer, her scent overwhelming him. "You could join them, Jasper. Leave behind the constraints of your world and embrace true freedom." Jasper's mind reeled. This was his chance to complete his mission, to uncover the truth. But the nectar clouded his thoughts, making the offer incredibly tempting. I need time to think," he managed. Cindy nodded, seemingly unsurprised. "Of course. Mira will show you to your quarters. Rest, explore our city. When you're ready, we'll discuss further." As Mira led him away, Jasper noticed another woman watching from the shadows. Unlike the others, her expression was guarded, almost defiant. "Who's that?" he asked Mira. "Oh, that's Naya. Don't mind her. She's different," Mira replied. There was something in Myra's tone that piqued Jasper's curiosity. As they walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that Naya might hold the key to unraveling Ilaria's mysteries. In his quarters, a spacious crystal chamber with a view of the jungle, Jasper paced restlessly. The effects of the nectar were fading, leaving him clear-headed but craving more. He needed to focus. The missing expedition, the true nature of the nectar, and the secret Cindy was hiding. He had to uncover it all. Yet, every time he closed his eyes, he saw Cindy's mesmerizing gaze and felt Myra's cool touch. A soft knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Jasper tensed, ready for anything. "Come in," he called. The door opened to reveal Naya. Up close, he could see that her teal skin was marked with intricate silver patterns, and her eyes were a striking shade of violet. "You're the outsider," Naya said, not as a question but a statement. Jasper nodded. "And you're the one who doesn't quite fit in here." A ghost of a smile flickered across Naya's face. "Perceptive. Maybe there's hope for you yet." She glanced over her shoulder before stepping into the room and closing the door behind her. "Listen carefully," she said, her voice low and urgent. "Everything is not as it seems here. The nectar, the circle. It's all part of something bigger." Jasper's pulse quickened. This was the breakthrough he had been waiting for. "Tell me more." Naya's eyes locked with his. "I can't, not here. Meet me at the edge of the crystal forest when the third moon rises. Come alone and don't drink any more nectar." Before Jasper could respond, she was gone, slipping out of the room like a shadow. He stood there, his mind racing. This was his chance to uncover the truth and complete his mission. Yet, as the memory of the nectar's effects lingered, a treacherous part of him wondered if he even wanted to leave this paradise. As night fell over Ilaria, Jasper gazed out at the alien landscape. The jungle glowed with bioluminescent life, and 3 moons hung in the sky like precious gems. He had a choice to make: follow Naya into the unknown or lose himself in the intoxicating embrace of the azure circle. Taking a deep breath, Jasper made his decision. He slipped out of his quarters, moving silently through the crystal corridors. As he reached the edge of the city, he cast one last glance back at the shimmering spires before plunging into the glowing jungle, heading towards whatever secrets awaited him at the heart of Valeria. The bioluminescent jungle pulsed with alien life as Jasper made his way through the undergrowth. His heart raced, every rustle and chirp setting his nerves on edge. The effects of the nectar were fading, leaving him with a gnawing emptiness he struggled to ignore. A flash of movement caught his eye as Naya emerged from the shadows, her silver markings glowing softly in the darkness. "You came," she said, relief evident in her voice. "I wasn't sure you would." Jasper studied her face, searching for any sign of deception. "I want answers," he said firmly. "What's really going on here?" Naya glanced over her shoulder before leading him deeper into the jungle. "The nectar isn't just a drug," she whispered. "It's alive, sentient, and it's using us." Jasper's mind reeled. Using us? How? They reached a small clearing, and Naya turned to face him. "The nectar needs hosts to reproduce. Our biology makes us crave it. The more we consume, the more we produce." A chill ran down Jasper's spine as the implications sank in. "And the missing expedition?" Naya's eyes darkened. "They're still here, but they're not themselves anymore. The nectar has taken over completely." Before Jasper could respond, a distant sound echoed through the jungle, rhythmic drumming and haunting melodies. "The midnight ritual," Naya hissed. "We have to go back. If they notice we're missing." They hurried back towards the Crystal City. As they neared the edge of the jungle, Naya grabbed Jasper's arm. "Be careful," she warned. "Cindy suspects you're not what you seem. Don't let your guard down." With that, she melted back into the shadows, leaving Jasper to face the seductive danger of the Azure Circle alone. The central plaza of the Crystal City was alive with movement and music. Dozens of teal-skinned women danced in intricate patterns, their bodies gleaming with sweat and traces of nectar. At the center stood Cindy, her gold hair flowing like liquid moonlight as she led the ritual. Jasper slipped into the crowd, his heart pounding. He could feel the nectar calling to him, promising bliss and oblivion. Cindy's eyes locked onto his, and a knowing smile curved her lips. "Jasper," she purred, her voice carrying over the music. "Come join us." He stepped forward, every instinct screaming at him to run. But he had a mission to complete and secrets to uncover. He had to play along. Cindy pressed a crystal goblet into his hand, filled with glowing nectar. "Drink," she commanded. "Let Ilaria embrace you fully." Jasper hesitated for a moment before raising the goblet to his lips. The nectar hit his system like lightning, igniting every nerve ending. Colors intensified, sounds became music, and the boundaries of his body seemed to dissolve. He found himself moving with the dancers, lost in the rhythm and the rush. Cindy's hands guided him through the steps of the ritual, her touch sending shockwaves through his system. He struggled to remember why he was here, why any of this mattered beyond the ecstasy of the moment. Through the haze, he caught glimpses of Naya watching from the edge of the plaza, her expression a mix of longing and fear. It anchored him, reminding him of the danger lurking beneath this paradise. As the ritual reached its climax, Cindy pulled Jasper close. "You're holding back," she whispered, her lips brushing his ear. "Let go. Give yourself to Ilaria completely." For a moment, Jasper teetered on the edge of surrender. It would be so easy to lose himself in the nectar and the beauty of this world. But the memory of his mission, of the missing expedition, cut through the fog. "I can't," he gasped, pulling away. I'm not ready." Cindy's eyes narrowed, suspicion flashing across her face. "Very well," she said coolly. "Perhaps you need more time to acclimate." As the ritual wound down, Jasper stumbled back to his quarters, his mind reeling from the nectar and the close call. He collapsed onto the living moss bed, images of the dance and Cindy's piercing gaze swirling through his thoughts. A soft knock roused him from his stupor. Naya slipped into the room, her face etched with concern. "Are you all right?" she asked, kneeling beside him. "I saw what happened during the ritual." Jasper groaned, pushing himself up. "I nearly lost myself out there. This nectar is more powerful than I imagined." Naya nodded grimly. That's why we have to act fast. I found something, evidence of your missing expedition, but it's dangerous. Are you sure you want to know? Jasper met her gaze, steeling himself. Show me. They crept through the silent corridors of the Crystal City, Naya leading the way to a hidden passage. As they descended deeper into the heart of the structure, the air grew thick and humid. What is this place? Jasper whispered. The source, Naya replied, where the nectar is born and where it keeps its most prized possessions. They emerged onto a narrow walkway overlooking a vast cavern. Jasper's jaw dropped at the sight before him. Massive, pulsating pods lining the walls, each containing a humanoid figure suspended in glowing liquid. Are those the missing expedition members? Naya confirmed, her voice heavy with regret. They're being used as vessels for the nectar's reproduction. Jasper's heart pounded as he looked at the figures suspended in the pods. Each face was etched with a mix of serenity and suffering, their bodies floating in the iridescent liquid. They're alive, Jasper said, barely able to comprehend the scene before him. But they're not themselves anymore. No, Naya said softly. They've been consumed by the nectar, transformed into something else. The circle wants to keep them like this, perfect and unchanging. Jasper's fist clenched. We need to free them. But how? Naya looked around nervously. The source is heavily guarded. There's no easy way in or out. But there's one thing that might help. She reached into a pouch at her waist and produced a small, crystal shard glowing with a faint blue light. This is an inhibitor. It can disrupt the nectar's hold over its hosts. We can use it to temporarily sever the connection between the nectar and those in the pods. Jasper took the shard, feeling its cool energy pulse in his hand. Let's do it. They moved cautiously, Naya leading the way to the nearest pod. Jasper's hands shook slightly as he inserted the shard into a hidden slot on the pod's control panel. The liquid inside the pod began to swirl and darken, and the figure within stirred, eyes blinking open. Jasper saw recognition in the eyes of one of the figures, a member of the missing expedition. The figure's mouth moved, but no sound emerged. We need to hurry, Naya urged. The effect won't last long. They repeated the process, freeing several of the expedition members. Each time, Jasper felt a mix of hope and dread. Hope that they could save these people, dread at the thought of what might happen next. As they worked, a low, rhythmic thrum echoed through the cavern, growing louder. Someone's coming, Naya hissed. We have to go. Now. They turned and hurried back through the passageway, Jasper's mind racing. They needed a plan to get out and protect the freed captives. As they reached the corridor leading back to the city, they were met by a figure, Cindy, flanked by a group of her followers. Her gold eyes locked onto Jasper with a mix of anger and disappointment. Leaving so soon? Cindy's voice was cold, her smile gone. I see you've discovered some of our secrets. Jasper's heart raced. Cindy, this isn't right. These people. Cindy raised a hand, cutting him off. You don't understand, Jasper. Alaria is a living entity. The nectar is its lifeblood, and it requires sacrifice. The expedition members chose to stay. Chose? Jasper's voice was incredulous. They were captured. You're enslaving them. Cindy's eyes narrowed. You're an outsider, Jasper. You see only what you want to see. We offer a choice. Embrace Alaria's essence or leave. Before Jasper could respond, Cindy's followers advanced, their expressions resolute. Naya stepped in front of Jasper, her silver markings shimmering with determination. We won't let you take them back, she said fiercely. Not without a fight. A tense silence hung in the air. Cindy's gaze shifted to Naya, then back to Jasper. So be it, she said. If you wish to leave, you must do so knowing the cost. With a sudden burst of energy, Cindy and her followers lunged forward. Jasper and Naya fought back, the battle fierce and desperate. Jasper's training kicked in, and he moved with practiced precision, but the sheer number of opponents was overwhelming. Naya fought beside him, her agility and strength proving invaluable. Despite their efforts, Cindy's followers pushed them back, forcing Jasper and Naya into a narrow passage. We need to get out of here, Jasper shouted over the clash of combat. The inhibitor. It won't hold them off for long. They retreated into the passageway, the sounds of battle fading behind them. They made their way back to the surface, the urgency of their escape driving them forward. As they emerged from the jungle, the first light of dawn was breaking, casting a soft glow over the crystal city. Jasper took a deep breath, the cool morning air a stark contrast to the heat of the cavern. "We need to get back to the ship," he said, looking at Naya, "before they come after us." Naya nodded, her expression resolute. "I know a way. Follow me." They moved quickly through the jungle, the path illuminated by the rising sun. As they reached the wreckage of Jasper's ship, he quickly assessed the damage. It would take time to repair, but they had a chance if they worked fast. "Help me with this," Jasper said, gesturing to the ship's control panel. Naya assisted him, and together they worked to get the ship operational. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually, the ship's systems hummed to life. Jasper and Naya climbed aboard, their adrenaline still pumping from the escape. As Jasper prepared for takeoff, he glanced at Naya. "Thank you for everything." Naya offered a faint smile. "We still have much to do. Ilaria won't forget this." With a final look at the alien world, Jasper launched the ship into the sky, leaving Ilaria and its secrets behind. As they broke through the atmosphere, he felt a mix of relief and sorrow. They had escaped, but the knowledge of what lay on Ilaria and the fate of those left behind weighed heavily on him. The journey back to Earth was quiet, the stars outside the viewport a stark contrast to the vibrant, otherworldly beauty of Ilaria. Jasper knew that his mission was far from over. There were questions left unanswered, and he was determined to find the truth and bring it to light. As the ship approached Earth, Jasper's thoughts were already on the next steps. The story of Ilaria, the Nectar, and the missing expedition would need to be shared, no matter the cost. The truth was out there, and he was prepared to uncover it, no matter where it led. The journey back to Earth was an uneasy one. Jasper sat in the dimly lit cockpit of his ship, his gaze fixed on the distant blue-green orb that was his home. The stars beyond were a silent witness to his thoughts, each pinprick of light reminding him of the alien world he had left behind. Naya, sitting across from him, appeared lost in her own reflections. Her normally vibrant eyes were now shadowed with concern. "We made it," she said quietly, breaking the silence. "But we're not out of the woods yet." Jasper nodded, his mind racing through the implications of their escape. The ship's sensors showed they were approaching Earth's orbit, but the fight wasn't over. They had precious cargo, evidence of Ilaria's dark secret, and possibly a cure for the missing expedition members trapped in the pods. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Jasper initiated the descent sequence. The familiar pull of gravity tugged at him, and the ship's hull groaned as it cut through the air. He glanced at Naya. "We need to find a way to get this information to the right people." "The implications of Ilaria's Nectar, I know," Naya interrupted, "but we also need to ensure we're not followed. If the Circle discovered our departure, they might send operatives to retrieve us or silence us before we can reveal anything."
Yes, Pasite.
"You're right. We'll need to be careful." The ship touched down at a remote field near a secure facility Jasper had arranged for such emergencies. The landscape was a stark contrast to the lush, bioluminescent jungles of Ilaria. The ship's landing gear sunk into the dirt as the engines powered down, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. Jasper and Naya exited the ship, making their way towards the facility, a nondescript building nestled among the trees. Jasper's contact, Dr. Lena Brooks, a scientist specializing in extraterrestrial biology, awaited them inside. The facility was designed to handle sensitive and classified material, and Jasper trusted Dr. Brooks to keep their findings secure. As they approached the entrance, Jasper glanced at Naya. "Stay close. We don't know if the Circle has agents around." Naya nodded, her hand resting on the hilt of a concealed weapon. They entered the facility, where Dr. Brooks greeted them with a mix of surprise and concern. Her lab coat and disheveled hair spoke of long hours spent working on alien artifacts and studies. "Jasper, you're back earlier than expected," Dr. Brooks said, her eyes widening as she noticed Naya. "And who's this?" "This is Naya," Jasper introduced. "She's from Ilaria. We've got urgent information and samples to analyze." Dr. Brooks led them to a secure lab, where Jasper began to unload the ship's cargo. Naya, with her usual grace, helped unpack a collection of vials and samples, including the crystal shard that had disrupted the Nectar's hold. Dr. Brooks' eyes narrowed in interest as she examined the items. "This shard," Dr. Brooks said, picking it up with tweezers. "It's unlike anything we've encountered before. Its energy signature is off the charts." "Tell me about it," Jasper replied, his voice tinged with frustration. "What do you make of it?" "It seems to have the ability to disrupt the Nectar's biochemical processes," Dr. Brooks explained. "This could be a breakthrough in understanding how the Nectar controls its hosts." As they worked, Jasper recounted the events on Ilaria, how the Nectar was a sentient entity using its hosts to reproduce, and how the missing expedition members had been transformed into vessels for the Nectar. Dr. Brooks listened intently. "This is significant. We need to alert the right authorities and begin an in-depth analysis of these samples. The implications for interstellar ethics and biochemistry are immense." Naya, still tense, spoke up. "And what about the Circle? If they know we're here, they might come after us." Dr. Brooks nodded thoughtfully. "We'll need to secure this facility and ensure our communications are encrypted. I can make arrangements to have this information distributed discreetly to trusted parties." Jasper felt a moment of relief, but knew that their troubles were far from over. As Dr. Brooks began setting up the necessary protocols, Jasper turned to Naya. "You've been through a lot. What will you do now?" Naya hesitated, her gaze fixed on the lab equipment. "I need to find out if there's a way to help those still on Ilaria. The Circle's control over them. It's not something I can ignore." Jasper nodded, understanding her resolve. "I'll help you with that. But we need to be cautious. If the Circle has operatives here, they might already be onto us." Hours turned into days as Dr. Brooks and her team worked tirelessly, analyzing the samples and the crystal shard. Meanwhile, Jasper and Naya stayed vigilant, monitoring communications for any sign of the Circle's interference. One evening, as Jasper was reviewing the data from the lab, Dr. Brooks burst into the room, her face pale. "We have a problem," she said urgently. "I just intercepted a transmission. It seems the Circle has discovered our location." Jasper's heart sank. "How long do we have?" "Not long," Dr. Brooks replied. "They've sent a team to retrieve the stolen samples and possibly deal with us." Naya's eyes hardened. "We need to get ready. If they're coming, we won't be able to stay here." Jasper and Naya quickly prepared to evacuate, gathering what they could from the lab. Dr. Brooks provided them with a secure transmission device to keep in contact and offered one last piece of advice. "If you're going to leave, head to the old observatory outside the city. It's remote and should give you time to regroup and plan your next move." As they made their way to the observatory, Jasper reflected on their situation. The threat of the Circle loomed large, but their mission was clear. They had to uncover the full extent of Ilaria's secrets and find a way to help those trapped within its grasp. The night was calm, but the stars seemed to mock their urgency. Jasper and Naya reached the observatory, an ancient structure overlooking the expanse of the city lights below. It was a fitting place to regroup and strategize. In the quiet of the observatory, Jasper looked at Naya. "We need to find a way to expose the Circle's operations. The truth about Ilaria needs to be known." Naya nodded, her resolve unwavering. "And we'll do whatever it takes." As they began their preparations, Jasper knew their journey was far from over. They were fighting not just for their own survival, but for the lives of those still ensnared by the Nectar. The secrets of Ilaria were waiting to be revealed, and he was determined to see it through to the end.